Good evening, everybody, and welcome, and thank you very, very much for coming tonight. We recognize there's a lot of things you could be doing on a Thursday night. For you to take time out of your life and come to a town hall meeting and give us the opportunity to try to answer as many questions as you might have tonight is something that we really thoroughly enjoy. So that said, we started right on time because we're on live TV on Olelo. We'll be on live TV for 2 hours. We're going to go live and start till 9 o'clock. And during that time, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. And I'll talk about a little bit. We don't have a whole lot of rules. We've got a couple of ground rules. We'll go through that. But what I want to do first and foremost is welcome Councilmember Matt Wire is in the room. Matt's back there. And the ledge is going to run late tonight, so I don't think we're going to see anybody from the ledge. And we may have one or two other elected officials come in, and if they do, I'll stop that. Augie Toba's in the room. Augie, I didn't see you. Augie, we're on for breakfast tomorrow morning, 8:30. I know you. Yeah. Okay. Who else? Val's here. Okay. They told me you weren't here yet. There you are. Actually, that's who I was alluding to. I was about to say, I think Val Okimoto will be here. Val Okimoto, right here. So I want to start off first and foremost having you meet our team. So this is pretty much our full cabinet, plus we've got one very special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we'll talk to him. And we'll get into the questions as quickly as we possibly can, okay? But first and foremost, very proud of this team. We're going to start off with you, Ted. You got a microphone down there? Okay, here you go.
All right, aloha, good evening, everybody. I'm Ted Higgin, I'm the Deputy Director for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Ted. Good evening, everyone. Gene Albano, Director and Chief Engineer of the Department of Facility Maintenance. Our department is responsible for the maintenance of any city facilities that include sidewalks, streets, streams, buildings, electrical systems. So if you have any concerns, you know who to talk to tonight. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roger Morton. I'm the Director of Transportation Services. We operate the island-wide transit system, the bus and minivan, Skyline. We're responsible for engineering the streets, traffic signals, bikeways, those kind of things. We don't do potholes. That's G.
Hello and good evening. I'm Edward Los Baños. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Community Services. We do the human services grants from the federal government, as well as the city's grant and aid program. I do see some folks out there in the audience that work at or volunteer at nonprofit organizations. I want to thank you for your support of communities. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Jim Ireland. I'm the Director of Emergency Services, EMS, Ambulance, as well as Crisis Outreach, which is our homeless response team. Just want to thank you all for coming and say hello to my fellow race car enthusiasts. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Hashiro. I'm the Director for the Department of Customer Services. Our department provides services at satellite city halls, the DMV, and we also have a public communications group. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mililani. My name is Roger Babcock. I'm Director of the Department of Environmental Services. We take care of sanitation, sewer, and rubbish. Also, can't help but mention, I'm a longtime proud Mililani resident. All three of my children grew up here and graduated from this high school, the best high school. Go Trojans!
Good evening, everybody. My name is Krishna Jairam. I'm the Deputy Managing Director for the City and County of Honolulu. Thank you for having us here tonight.
Aloha, my name is Kurt Lager. I'm the Director for the Ocean Safety Department. We are the primary responders to all nearshore waters on the island of Oahu. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Andy Sugg. I am the Mayor's Chief of Staff, and it's great to be back in Mililani. Thank you all for coming.
Aloha, my name is Brian McKee. I'm the director of the Department of Information Technology. I'm new, so sometimes I forget. But yeah, I'm the Chief Information Officer. So any tech questions or anything, I'd be happy to get into that tonight. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Marcus Evans. I'm the Commanding General for U.S. Army Hawaii, and on behalf of all of the Army team that is privileged to live and be a part of this ohana, thank you all for your support. Mahalo.
Good evening, aloha. Joe Costilla, Assistant Chief, Honolulu Fire Department.
Aloha, everyone. This is Carrie. I'm Carrie Casso. I'm the Deputy Director for the Budget and Fiscal Services Department. It's my pleasure to actually be the Mayor's Rep for Mililani Malka Neighborhood Board. And I see a couple of our board members here tonight. Appreciate you coming, and I appreciate all that you do for the community. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mililani. My name is Roy Miyahira. I'm the Director of Homeless Solutions, charged with executing our homeless strategies. Thank you for having me.
Good evening. My name is Bobby Town. I am what we call District 2 District Commander that covers Mililani, Wahiawa, and the North Shore.
Hello, everybody. Deputy Chief Keith Orikawa, HPD, actually acting chief this week for Chief Joe, who's on vacation. Also a Mililani resident and proud graduate of Kipapa School. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Kira Shusham. I'm the Chief Data Officer, and I actually work for everybody that's on this side of the room. Thank you.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Ka'ili Trask O'Connell, and I'm the Executive Director of MOCA, which is the Mayor's Office of Culture and the Arts. One of the big programs that we're working on right now is called Vahipana, and I would encourage everyone to check it out at vahipana.com.
Aloha, I'm Kathleen Pahinui, representing the Board of Water Supply, and I'm also honored to be the BWS rep to both the Mililani and Mililani neighborhood boards. Thank you.
Good evening, Lori Kahikina, CEO and Executive Director of HART, the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation. We're responsible for designing, building, and constructing the rail project. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Tracy Kubota, Deputy Director, Department of Enterprise Services. We cover golf courses, Blaisdell Center, Waikiki Shell, Honolulu Zoo, and concessions. And I'm also the Mililani Neighborhood Board rep. So thank you to the members who came last night to the Neighborhood Board meeting and are here again tonight. We appreciate you folks being here and friends of the community. Thank you for having us.
Good evening, Mark Uramine, Deputy Director with the Department of Design and Construction. We're responsible for all of the capital improvement projects for the city. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Bugs Baggio, Assistant Director of Human Resources. If any of you or your family members or friends are interested in working with the city, we have an outreach table in the back. See Darcy or John, or see any one of us, and we'll be happy to talk to you about our opportunities. Thank you.
Aloha, everybody. I'm Dawn Apuna of the Department of Planning and Permitting, or DPP. Thank you for having us.
Hi, everyone. Molly Pierce, representing the Department of Emergency Management. We coordinate response to large-scale emergencies on island, hurricanes, tsunamis, the like. Tonight, we're here primarily to talk to everyone about the city's new H&L alert system. This is the newest way for folks to get up-to-date information on severe weather and any number of other important city information. There's information at the back, or come see me at any point. Thanks so much.
Aloha, Velina mai me ke aloha kako, o vau o ke aloha fox, no ho I loko I ke ahopua no Mililani, ma MTA.
I am the proud deputy of the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency. I'm a proud Mililani resident, and I just wanted to help share 2 resources we have with our team here, with many more resources printed for you at the back. One is to help folks get involved in the city's upcoming climate action plan. There are a number of community workshops where we would love to hear your voices and thoughts and share in the solutions on how we can have a more climate resilient future. And then the second is hot off the presses today. It's our Keep Cool Oʻahu resources, because yes, the planet is heating up, and so can our actions be to protect our future and protect our health. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Gavin Thornton. I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Economic Revitalization. We're here to support small businesses on Oahu. Very fortunate to work with Alyssa Gosley, who's in the back there with our Oahu Business Connector. Would love for folks to go talk to her this evening, find out more. Just appreciate having you all having us here. Mahalo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Valea Constantino. I run the Honolulu Film Office, which is the city's effort to develop, grow, support, market to, and facilitate requests for the motion picture, television, film industry.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Lloyd Yoninaka. I am the Executive Secretary for the Neighborhood Commission Office, and we oversee all of the neighborhood boards. I know we have a number of neighborhood board members here. Could you raise your hand? All right. Can we give them applause? Thank you. Thank you very much for your service. I also want to let everyone know that we have an election this year, and voting for the boards begins tomorrow. So if you haven't got a ballot, or that means you either didn't vote in the last election, or just give us a call at my office and come see me later.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordana Furr, the Child Care Coordinator. We are working to expand more affordable child care opportunities for our hardworking families and our youngest keiki across the island. Thank you for having us.
Aloha, my name is Ben Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director for the Mayor's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency. We work to help the city and to help our community to prepare for climate impacts and to do all the things we can to reduce carbon emissions and to make our lives better and safer and happier. So we're so happy to be working with all this team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And we have 2 other distinguished guests I want to introduce. When we first came into office 4 years ago, one of the things we determined that we wanted to do was to bring more young people into city government, to try to just inspire, if you will, give them experiences, learning experiences, things that would help them, even perhaps even their application to college. You know, you just never know how you might impact a young person, giving them an opportunity, and it's actually worked pretty well for us. We have 2 here tonight. We have Esther Lim, who's the board chair of the Youth Commission. Stand up, Esther, it's okay. You're really proud. She's going off to Brown University in the fall. And over here is Dominic Bonifacio. I think we have, what, 11 people on the Youth Commission? Or more than that? 15? Okay, I've got a lot of numbers in my head. Really very pleased and very proud that behind me, I'm certainly not going to embarrass him because General Evans is the real deal when it comes to our military. I want to thank everybody else from the military being in here. We have him sitting with our team tonight. We've asked him to do that. He's done that once before in the past. One of the things that I'm really proud of that we were able to establish as an administration was a really strong working relationship with our military. And we've had some seminal events happen that really made a big difference, not least of which was Red Hill, but also the Mililani wildfires. And, you know, in fact, Val Okimoto was with me. We came up here early on in the fires, and we were up in the hill watching our HFD helicopters, of which we have 2, loading water because it was entirely an aerial fight at that time to contain. And of course, this was only literally a few months after Maui, and wildfires were more than top of mind, especially wind conditions and everything else, and hard to reach places and understand the volatility. Our Army, General Evans, you know, when you talking about helicopters being able to drop 100 gallons each, that might sound like a lot, but against a wildfire, it's not. And we had a fire that took 40 days to extinguish. We had, I think, about 7 or 8 Blackhawks and Chinooks in the air operating for us, with the cooperation of the Army, dropping 2,000 gallons at a time. That made a huge difference. It made all the difference. And so we're very proud and very grateful, sir. Very, very much so. Thank you. And I'm over here blessed tonight with an incredible array of police officers, our first responders, and I really appreciate you guys being here. And so this is good. We have good representation. All right, so let's kind of get into this. But before we do that, I do want to take the initiative. We do something a little bit different. It was a year ago, right after we had our Mililani meeting, and we had people from Wahiawa here, and we listened very intently. And again, and I'll talk about the questions that we want to ask, but also the questions are just questions, if you will. The actions that we take as a result of those questions is really probably in large part why you're here and the things we're trying to get done. I've asked Andy Sugg, who's my chief of staff, to come up here and tell you about what's going on in Avocado Street in Wahiawa and what we've done. Okay, Andy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as Mayor mentioned, it was last year around this time when we had our town hall in Wahiawa, and a woman talked to us about the condition of a property on Avocado Street. Right as you get off Cam Highway, it's right there. And it was in really bad shape, disrepair. Lots of folks living there, lots of illegal activity going on there. And so literally, that was on a Thursday. The following Monday, we went out to check it out. We found out who the property owner was. And with the help of HPD over the last year, Nepali and Shane and Tim and the whole crew, we have been engaged with the property owners to try to get them to rehab the place, to try to get them to clean it out. It's been a long process. Dawn Apuna, who's our DPP director, and I and Krishna, our deputy managing director, have been out to the property owner's home in Aiea a few times, and it's been fits and starts, frankly. We were on a good trajectory, and it's sort of slid back, but we're making progress again, and frankly, if it was up to us, we would tear the place down. It's not as easy as that, but we're working towards that solution. But it's an opportunity for us tonight to tell you all that any question that you have tonight, we are going to do our best to take action on it, even if it takes a year, even if it takes 2 years. And this has taken a while. We've been at this for, as I said, almost a year. And again, I really want to thank the HPD, who have been really supportive all the way through, and Dawn and her team at DPP. And I think we're getting to a point where we're about to have a really good solution to this problem, because it's really been a blight on the community. And the folks who live over there don't deserve to have that in their community. So that's just the update on Avocado Street. And if any of you have any questions about it afterward, please come and see Dawn or me, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. All right, so this is our 3rd town hall this year. We're going to do 7. Over the course of the last 2 years, we've done 22. This is our 25th overall. And one of the things that we really like to do, and this is the ground rules, if you will, is we want to answer. The reason why I brought all these folks and asked them to come each and every time is so we can answer with the expertise and the connection that you want to have directly with the leadership of the city as many questions. So here are the ground rules. This is the microphone. No lines. We'll get to everybody one at a time. Part of the way we'll get to everybody is I don't want any speeches up here, okay? I'll let you set the context. I don't want to be rude to anybody, but this is not a platform for that. This is a platform to ask as many questions, and we can answer as many questions as we possibly can, okay? And we'll be polite. That's the other thing I ask. Please be civil. I can understand maybe, perhaps, I don't know, there's some frustration with some issues. I can appreciate that. You be civil to us, we'll be civil back to you, and we'll have a really worthwhile 2 hours, okay? You know, other than that, I'm proud to say this to you, we don't filter the questions. You can come up here and ask us anything you want. Okay, remember, you're on live TV. But you can ask us anything you want. Your neighbors will see you doing that. You may not like the answer you get, but I can tell you, and the reason why I say that is we're not here to pander to anybody. We'll just tell you the truth to the best of our ability. And as Andy just described Avocado Street, he didn't quite say how many times they've been out there. He said a lot. I mean, some of this stuff you just can't get done overnight, some of the things we're working on. But there's a lot of things we are working on, and we said when we started the second term that we moved into the execution phase, and we're off to a very fast start in our first 4 months. So anything and everything is fair game. We want to cover as much ground as we possibly can, and let's start, okay? So who wants to come up first? Come on up. You don't even have to raise your hand. After one person comes up, when we finish, the next one can come up. Just, if you have lines, it cuts the line of viewing off. It's not really good. So go ahead, sir.
My name is Alex Felix, and I'd like to thank whoever paved Wahiawa Street and fixed the sidewalks. Thank you very much. My question is to the, I guess, to the police department. At one time, you had to have the reconstruction permit anytime you want to buy a car. And the issue I had was a situation happened to me was driving one day on the freeway, a lifted truck with wide tires. It was raining. There was so much water coming from that truck, it literally blinded me. I didn't realize what was happening until I was going to pull off the freeway because I thought my windshield light was not working. So as I changed lanes, I see my wife was working. So my question is, or my situation is, to me, that's a safety hazard where you have these trucks with really wide tires shooting a lot of this water out in front of people that blinded me. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention that, to me, that's a serious issue.
Okay. So thank you for your question. So to give you the background on the reconstruction permit.
Sir, you just have to hold the mic up close because they're recording. Okay, thank you.
I just won't come too close to this.
Yeah,
mic.
not too close to
the feedback. So as you know, there's no recon anymore, right? So recon was unable to do what they were required to do in the beginning. It became out of their hands, and a lot of people would change their vehicle, get a recon sticker, and then go back to oversized tires. So now it's on people wherever you get your safety check from. So if you guys don't know, when you go to get a safety check, they have what looks like a notepad. And that notepad, they buy for $1,000. That notepad goes straight to the city. They have to take a certain amount of pictures. So tires, so a lot of people with these oversized tires put their stock tires on for that day. They take a picture of that. You got to have your front license plate. They have to check your driver's side front window tint and so forth, and then along with the rest of your stuff. So it doesn't prevent you from going home and changing and putting on oversized tires. So if a tire sticks out beyond the width of a vehicle, that is a violation, okay? Some trucks, regular commercial trucks, they're supposed to have a mud flap, so they can also cause that spray. But if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, there are some ridiculously oversized, jacked up trucks and so forth. So that is a violation. The only thing I can suggest you do, you can call 911. If you can see the license plate. If not, I'm on the H2. I'm headed towards this direction. There's a vehicle with oversized tires, and it's causing a hazard because of the rain. I can't guarantee that an officer will be able to get up to your location and find the vehicle. But if you do get the license plate, we can do a follow-up with that person. And then if the tires are oversized, we will cite.
Right. I understand all of that, but you see it driving on the road
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
So I don't think the citizens have to go and report it, but everybody can see it.
Right. And along with that,
I know you guys got a whole bunch of other
Right.
things to do
Right.
besides what chasing guys with big tires. But I just wanted to say that happened to me.
Sure.
Where I literally couldn't see the road.
Sure.
You know, and I was literally scared to death. I almost pulled off the freeway until I realized what was happening. So
the other thing,
it's not just people with big tires. It's a serious safety issue.
right. So the other thing too is whether it's that vehicle or a regular semi, I would try to get out of the way because they can also kick up rocks that can crack your windshield too. So that does become dangerous. But that doesn't mean that that's our sole purpose, because otherwise every safety check, every tax emblem that's expired. So we try to focus on, for that particular area, we have a traffic division, our solo bikes, and their primary jobs is the freeways and stuff like that. Where we in patrol, we kind of concentrate more on the city streets and so forth. But I know you're not obligated to, but if you call 911, better chance that we can get a solo bike out there, because they're the only ones who can probably catch up and catch up.
Is it fair to say, sir, that, because I think the question is really being asked, is if people can game the system with safety checks and then get back out and everybody sees these trucks, why are they getting tagged in the middle of a day on a sun, you know, why aren't they getting nailed when they have these, you know, big tires on their trucks in ordinary weather? I mean, so that they would stop doing that. I think that's what he's really asking, as opposed to even having to report it, since we have motorcycle police out there.
So a lot of times they do get cited. What happens after we issue the citation is up to the court. They can pay a fine. It's like a parking. If you want to park here illegally and I park you and I cite you, if you want to do that every day, you're going to get a ticket every day. Some people just choose because that's their enjoyment. So I don't have the perfect answer for you, but we will take enforcement, and it is illegal.
No, thank you. Thank you both. I appreciate your answer to the question. Thank you, sir. Come on, who would like to come up next?
My name is Emil Shorchina.
What's your first name?
Emil.
Emil.
Emil. It's easy to remember. Mike, I have two questions, if I may. One is very specific. Who can initiate a forensic audit of heart?
The question is, who can initiate a forensic outlook on heart?
Audit.
Audit on heart.
Audit is here since 2011, and you know we don't see heart doing a good job, in my opinion, because you know when it started, 2008, the rail was supposed to be $3.9 billion, $1 billion in cost overruns. Now we know where we are.
Well, you know, I really want to ask Lori Kaikina to speak, but I'll also take the initiative. Did Lori leave? She stepped out for a phone call. So that's old news, okay? I suspect you know that, right? You know, when we walked into office, the month before we got into office 4 years ago, they fired the CEO, they pulled the P3, they announced a $3.67 billion overrun and an additional 2-year delay, and not only that, the FTA had not given the city a nickel since 2017. They had spent almost $6 billion, and we were dead in the water.
So who
today,
can
initiate
the audit?
We are doing. We have done a lot of audits.
Is it you?
We've already done it. The FTA does it. We're on constant audit. So what happened is, because the rail is now operational, and in October we'll begin the second phase all the way to Middle Street. The FTA is now back at the table as a partner. We have been audited upon audited upon audited. All of our numbers have proven out. We're doing fine, and we've already truncated the version. We signed a new agreement. So I don't know where you're coming from, but what you're talking about is old news.
I want to find out where, if it's a public record, what the result of the audit was.
The result of the audit is we are now operating efficiently and effectively. We're going to build an 18.75-mile system from East Kapolei to Halikuia South Street, okay? We are on budget. We've hired Tutor Perini. We're now in town. We're going to open up effectively October 1. We've announced that.
Yeah.
So what are you asking?
I want to find out when is the result of the audit, if it was already done.
Well,
I want to see, you know, how much was predicted to be spent. Now, how is
I can tell you how much was predicted to be spent. Okay, when I came in, I said a few moments ago they had spent nearly $6 million. We then looked $6 billion at that point. Okay. And we weren't even close to opening. We then took a look and said, okay, how much money do we have? The FTA had given us $800 million and committed to the 1.55 on the original budget on rail, which was supposed to go, by the way, from East Kapolei to the university, right? Okay, that predates us. I'm the 4th mayor to touch this, okay? So I'm going to give you the audit right now, okay? All right, so we come in and we said, how much money has been spent? Nearly $6 billion. How much money do we have in the pipeline, provided we can get the FTA to come back for $744 million, which is what was outstanding. It was costing us a lot of money in finance cost alone just to maintain construction because they were withholding that money. We do that. How much money is in the pipeline for the GET, TAT, and other resources that we had? What would that come out to? That came out to nearly $4 billion. We added it all up. That came out to $9.98 billion, okay? We said, okay, How much can we build with the remaining $4 billion? How far can we go? Now, we were committed to go all the way to Ala Moana Center. So we had a signed agreement that Mayor Carlisle actually signed, because originally they had to amend the route from the university to another place. So it was supposed to be a 20-mile route. I'm sorry to call you. Well, Lori's here. Okay, I just don't want to take any thunder from you. Okay. Because I am the audit. Okay? I am the audit. You want an audit, you talk to me.
Perfect.
I'm telling you right now. So what we're doing on time, on schedule, and beginning the most challenging piece of construction that's ever happened in our state, coming down the Dillingham corridor and building a bridge literally to downtown Honolulu. We've already done, for most of the part, the utility relocation, which is $1 billion. And we're going to deliver the product, as we said, on schedule, actually ahead of schedule. That's what's going on now. I can't make up for the $6 billion that happened before us, what the other mayors did, what they committed us to. The very fact that we got the FTA to agree to allow us to truncate, to shorten it from 20 miles to 18.75 without financial consequence, of which there was a lot of precedence nationally for having done that, to cities and states, for that matter, who changed the plans after you've made a deal. They didn't do that. Nor did they require us to do a second EIS. So as far as I'm concerned, as we begin to open up this next phase, it's going to really become very different than the first phase, okay? Candidly, I wasn't wild about running it from East Kapolei to Aloha Stadium, but that was a signed agreement once we could be operational, because I've known there wasn't enough incentive for people. This next leg will take us through the 2 gates at Pearl Harbor and the airport. We know the amount of people who live on the west side. We're now going to take people where they want to go. What we were doing before, even though you could ride that in 22 minutes, and it was efficient, the multimodal, and Roger used to run the bus, we have connections. It wasn't enough of an incentive, because coming out of Aloha Stadium wasn't the kind of time saver we want it to be. So the future is now. The future is ahead of us. And anything you want to know about Emil, I'll be happy to tell you.
With you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The second question is more local. I travel a lot, and I was in Sri Lanka just now, and I see a lot of damage in Oahu on palm trees, coconut palm trees, which are affected with the coconut rhinoceros beetle. In Sri Lanka, they have natural enemies. They have crow and ravens, which are eating the live bugs. We don't have that here. And you know, this iconic tree in Oahu and in Hawaii, for that matter, is being totally devastated. Yeah. I have a few in my backyard.
Yeah, you know, we're very concerned about the rhinoceros beetles. This is really a state issue. Is there anybody on that team that would want to talk about that? Ted, come on up. We're really concerned. Emil, it's a legitimate concern.
Sorry.
It's a really a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
And
Ted.
I don't want more inspectors. That's what the $2.5 million is going to. We will have 10 more people with the salaries doing something. Meantime, the bug is multiplying. Every bug can have 50 offspring. So, I mean, you know, we are in a bad shape.
Yeah, that's a major issue kind of across the entire island. And so we are working kind of collaboratively with the state, with private partners, as well as other nonprofits and UH. So an organization that's really working on that is the Oahu Invasive Species Council. And so we work with them. So in my area in parks, we also have a division, which is the Department of Urban Forestry. So we actually do a lot of going out. We actually treat a lot of our palms for the coconut rhinoceros beetle. And it's pretty bad out there right now.
Our means state-owned?
For a city. Yeah.
Exactly, because there are plenty which are in private yards.
Yeah.
And people are unable to take care of it. So actually they are becoming the source of the next generation.
Yeah, unfortunately, but there's a lot of education going out to people to talk to them about that. Again, with the Invasive Species Council, they do a lot of education, they do a lot of outreach to the community to talk to them about, okay, how do you take care of your palms? Also, about how not to have, they really breed in the undergrowth. Yeah. So talking about removing all of that. So yeah, it's a really collaborative effort.
What about the traps, you know, the traps with the pheromone which were attracting the bugs. I mean, would there be
Yeah, we're kind of
solution?
doing,
Because I don't see too many in our neighborhood in Mililani.
yeah. I mean, we're doing that kind of all over the place. And it's really, like I said, a collaborative effort. And we're really targeting a lot of the areas that are where they're expanding to. And we're really trying to contain them in areas. But again, right, they can fly, so it's very difficult. So you know,
there's no natural enemy.
yeah, they don't have any like natural predators.
Ravens, crows, I mean those blackbirds.
Yeah. So we do treat the palms. Unfortunately, the what we use doesn't take or it comes off fairly easily. It doesn't last a long time. Some of the other methods that we do, you can spray the palms, but unfortunately, we don't like doing that because that affects the bees. And so we don't want to, kill off our bee population either. So it's a very challenging
something about it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Emil, thank you for your questions. Thank you. And honestly, I'll be happy to talk to you about the rail anytime you want. Okay? All right. Who else is up? Yes, come on up.
My name is Deborah Yamaguchi. I'm just going to run through it, and then if you want to respond, you can. I was at Pearl Ridge Satellite City Hall, and there was a young clerk who was really rude to a senior citizen. She was really impatient, and she was short with the lady, and I just thought if you could address that. And then car registration. I was wondering if we could lower car registration. My daughter lives in the Southeast. She pays $35. I pay 10 times more than she does. And it's so efficient, and it's so fast.
Yeah, well, you can do it efficiently and fast here, but I'll let Kim address this. The first thing is totally unacceptable. That's a fireable offense. We don't want that happening, but go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, so I apologize for what you experienced at Pearl Ridge. We do invest greatly in training and monitoring and support for our employees. So I hope that was an unusual situation, but I will talk to the supervisor there. Was this recent?
I'd say, the last 6 months. But it was only one person. I gotta say, it's unusual. I just was next to the lady, so I witnessed it. And she was really humble, She's just a senior citizen, really humble. She just took it, and it was trying to understand, and the girl was just impatient with her.
So the next time, what I suggest is, if you don't want to, the customer, she doesn't want to ask for the manager, you could ask for the manager and then just relay the story to her. I think if we deal with it right on
away.
site, right there, it'll be much easier to address. So your second question about how much our motor vehicle registration costs are, so they're broken down into many different fees, so state and city, but the largest is weight tax. So this is supposed to cover the wear and tear on our roads primarily, and so that is set in statute, and it's by weight of vehicle. So the lightest vehicles, I just asked our team this recently, is about $160. And those are for the smart cars, the really small cars. But we have vehicles on the road that pay about $1,000 a year, which is very unusual. I would say the average is about $300 to $400.
Yeah, I witnessed a guy at Kapolei. He looked military, and the girl told him, your truck, and he had 2 trucks. She said, it's $750. And he just exploded, like, what? And then he took off because he didn't have money. He thought he said it'd be like $50 or less. So it's just a
so on our website, we also have a breakdown of how you can break down like a typical motor vehicle registration invoice. Yeah. But you can also we have a website link where you can actually type in your VIN, last 4 or 6 digits of your VIN and your license plate, and you can get a breakdown of your particular car and what all the fees
You can find out how much, but it's not like you can lessen the price.
No, there's
but Kim, you might want to address the kiosk system that we have going on as far as speed of getting it and how easy it is.
Yeah, so hopefully you're not experiencing any delays in terms of going to one of our satellites. We have 9 across the island, and getting service to pay. But we also have, if you're not able to get there during business hours, you can go to kiosks. We have 8 kiosks across the island, 2 more coming, including one on the North Shore. One in Eva area where you can go 24/7 as long as the store is open, mostly Safeways, some other
Foodland has one,
markets, right? And you can do your motor vehicle registration in a couple minutes, get your registration and your emblem on demand.
It's really popular, I've seen that.
Yeah, so we're trying to expand that service as much as possible, so there's 2 more coming.
I just want to mention Kapolei and Hawaii Kai. Those are my 2 favorite city halls. And I live in Mililani.
Okay.
So I'll drive to get to those 2.
Well, that's great to hear.
But you know, we're building a big new city hall in Wahiawa.
Yes.
You might want to talk about that. A very
So,
modern facility. Good.
Wahiawa Civic Center, so on California Avenue, hopefully next year, first part we're looking at. It's coming up now if you've been into Wahiawa recently. And our current locations of our satellite city hall and driver's license location, which is right next to the Wahiawa police station, right on that same property, is going to be moving to the new state and county civic center, right near the bus depot on Wahiawa, California. And we're really looking forward to it because we'll have really nice space right in the front area, and really looking forward to providing the most efficient service possible. We're going to have expanded counters for DL and also satellite city hall. As much technology as we can implement there also, so we will try to do as much self-service. And of course, our Aloha Queue appointment system is still going to be in place.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just 2 quick ones. I visited the Honolulu Police Department about 4 years ago, and I was surprised. I saw tiles falling off, and the place was kind of dirty, but that was 4 years ago. But just
Well, police officers deserve better facilities. I've been in a number of the police stations. They're old, they're dated, to the extent that some were repairing, but, you know, anybody want to say that? I've actually walked into police stations apologizing to our police, looking at the conditions of this, but this is all, again, you walk in, it's what you inherit. We're trying to clean up and do as much as we can. We're fortunate that they don't make that a priority, even though I know it's not a good thing for them, that they just do their jobs, but it's been long, long overdue.
I'm just for it. If you guys
Yeah, we are too.
And then the last one, I just wanted to say that for me, the top 2 priorities of the city is safety and infrastructure. That's my 2. And
Okay.
also like roads, and then safety is, the police.
You got roads, yes. Well, I would tell you, I'm going to say this with our police officers here. We know that we have a shortage of police officers, but I'm going to tell you, and it's not just statistically, Oahu is a safe place. We have things happen here, but comparatively speaking, despite the fact that we are out recruiting aggressively, I would tell you that the world has changed. And I can remember, having lived here now in Hawaii for 60 years, when, there was a line to become a police officer. Today, it's just the opposite. We have to recruit aggressively. It takes an extraordinary amount of courage to be a police officer. These men and women put a gun on their hip every day. Nobody else does that. It's not military. Walk out the door, and they never know what's going to happen. And we've seen evidence, the fact that the danger that they take. It's been hard. But that said, and knowing full well, we're an island of 1 million people. We are the 11th largest U.S. metro. For people who think in terms of where they live, this is a big island with a lot of things happening and a lot of people on it. So you can't have police everywhere. But overall, for what goes on here, we're doing really well. Yeah. So public safety is our #1 priority. I can promise you that. And that manifests in a lot of different ways. And it's not just the police, but they are the tip of the spear on that. And then infrastructure is a big issue. It's not just roads. No, and maybe Roger Babcock's going to talk about sewer fees tonight and some of the things that we want to help inform the audience as well. But there's a lot of infrastructure, and there's a lot of aging infrastructure. So I'm not going to say this to disparage anybody before me. I've known all the mayors since Mayor Fossey. But when I was running for mayor, nobody ever talked about modernizing the city. It just wasn't a subject that was addressed in any of the on-air television debates or anything that anybody was talking about. And then you come into the city, and I know Brian McGee's here, our IT guy, but it was much more than just software or buying hardware, even though that's absolutely essential. We are just trying to get caught up to this moment in time, and there's a lot of investment. Every one of these men and women is challenged by antiquated equipment and conditions that they have to deal with that's far less than desirable. And I came out of a private sector. I came out of a technology-driven business. I was used to that, and I was amazed at the lack of investment in that. So we're trying to catch up as fast as we can. Dawn may get asked about this, the stuff we're doing at DPP, the work we're doing with software systems and AI and all this stuff. And Kim was just talking about, you know, what we're doing. We trying to make it much more user-friendly across the board for all departments, for everybody, so we can better serve the public is a big undertaking. And that includes infrastructure. That includes, we're doing some incredible projects on this island. The rail alone is a $10 billion project. Roger's building a $10 billion wastewater treatment plant on Sand Island. Or if you went to Honolulu and you saw what happens there at the waste, this is 21st century stuff. I mean, we're actually ahead of the curve there. But there's so much to get caught up on. A lot of things were deferred. And we're only a group, we're in office, we're in for a second term, we got 3 years and 8 months. I remind them all the time, we make every day count. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You and the city council.
Thank you. Who's up? Okay. Les, no speech is less. Okay, I'm gonna warn you in advance. Go ahead.
First of all, I just want to thank all of you. I'm Les Among with the Mililani Neighborhood Board, and I want to thank you. We're up for re-election again, and we have a fine board here. And Rick, just the fact that you bring your administrators here to answer questions is a phenomenal. It's beautiful for our people and residents in our district.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, in the interest of time, because I don't want to take up too much time, there's other people, but your zero property tax increases, promise to bring down the property tax is something everybody in this district loves. And,
well, I didn't say we were going to bring down the cost, but I said on my watch, we're not going to raise property taxes.
And a lot of people were worried about that in this district, and they were happy to see that that's something you committed to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the issues that have a lot of people worried with the affordability living in this district. My second question, really fast, is about your new affordable housing initiative. Yep. That's a great idea that you put together. What I want to know is what other new ideas do you and your administrators have to make a little bit more affordable housing for working class families?
Okay, so unfortunately tonight, the people who are not here is from our newly formed Housing and Land Management, okay? But we've had a housing crisis on this island forever, and we knew that. And so we come into office, and there's one person in charge of the two biggest crises we're facing, housing and homelessness. One person with administrative assistant. The city had not been a player in private activity bonds for 23 years. Every year they would kick over to the state, 125, this year 140, 23 years. The Affordable Housing Fund that is deducted from your from your taxes, you know, was almost $50 million, $48 million I think it was, lapsed, okay? And there was no wherewithal, there was no capacity. And everything was being kicked over to the state. And we recognized that as an administration, that we were going to have to be a player. So we got the city back into the private activity bond business after 23 years. We've already awarded, in less than 3 years, $670 million. We took the $48 million that elapsed and worked with developers, and we've really opened ourselves up. One of the biggest barriers to entry we had in helping build housing was DPP. And Don has done an incredible job, because that was a barrier to entry at being able to get, now we've only eliminated the backlogs. I said in my State of the City, we're not just interested in doing that, which we've already accomplished. We're interested in being able to people get permits here as fast as anywhere in the country. And we think we're going to achieve that by the end of the year. We're putting in a software system now called Clarity. It's taken 18 months to integrate it into the system. The last system that we pulled out was in 1998. So let me give you a perspective of what 1998 looks like. That was 9 years before the iPhone. 9 years before the iPhone. That's how outdated this stuff was, okay? And that's true across the board. We pulled the computers out of our Fosse data building from the 70s and 80s. And that affected workforce, okay? So, but coming back to the housing thing, we're working with all the developers. We're working on self-certification so people can start building. I think we're actually there. It depends on the architects. And Don, you should really be up here talking about it because it's all your work. Come on up. I'm so proud of this woman. What we've done, everybody said couldn't be done, and we're doing it. It takes a while. You know, I learned an expression from Mike Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York, when I was back there. He said, you know, Rick, in this business of being mayor, the days are long, but the years are short. And that's the challenge. It takes time to do this stuff and to make up for lost time.
I'm happy to see that you're taking it on, Rick, really, and you're the guy to get something like this done. And
we have to, Les, because you know why? We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Just like this, we're all in this together. And all of these men and women, I'll tell you, most of them, and we've made some improvements, some adjustments since, came together during COVID. And we got elected in November 2020. We've been locked down since March, okay? There was no talk of vaccines. The fear and uncertainty was so palpable, I had never felt anything like that. It was like a wartime condition because nobody knew what was happening, not the least of which was the threat of people dying as a result of COVID. So we came together as a group. The commitment that stands behind me, which is why they're here on a Thursday night, is off the charts. And this group is not only capable, but they are committed to making things happen. I want to turn it over to Dawn. Go ahead.
So another thing that we're working on for housing for our residents is, so I don't know if you know about ADUs or accessory dwelling units, and that's where you can build, you know, on your current property another unit for family or, you know, others for long-term housing. So we have that, but we're trying to expedite that process, and so we're trying to create pre-approved plans for ADU units so that residents can look at what's available and go directly to a designer and kind of speed up the process, so if they want to add a unit on their property, they can, and that can help for larger families. They want to be able to house, you know, generationally. So that's something that we're looking at as well, besides all of the improvements to the building permit process. So it's a lot faster and predictable, and people can build housing.
Yeah, it's important to get affordable housing for sure, and I'm glad you guys are taking it on. I'm happy that Rick and you guys are taking this on.
Well, we have a lot of Bill 7 projects too. We've already done 5 or 6. We've got the legislation passed. We had to go through several iterations. We have more than 40 of them in the pipeline. And what I'm excited about that is it's the first time ever the city is incentivizing private developers. And you don't have as many out in Mililani. This is a fairly new community. But you get back into the urban core, because when I went to grad school at UH in '71, I lived in what I thought was an old building then. And it's still there today, 60 years later, 50-something years later. Although those 3-story, 4-story walk-ups, you know, that are there, they're really right in the middle of the urban core. There's more than 5,500 5,000 square foot parcels throughout the city. That's how I used to divide them up way back when they did. That are right there in ideal locations. They've been owned by families forever. They don't want to give up the equity. They've become dilapidated. And we're incentivizing them now to knock them down and rebuild, build better, newer, bigger, if you will. There's limitations, but with the construction today and the way they do things, and we're incentivizing that. And a lot of developers, now that we've kind of worked through all the issues, are coming around on that. And what I love about it is also at the same time, in addition to providing housing, I just went to a blessing last week, 29 new units. I mean, I was there the day we did the blessing in a pot of dirt. It didn't look bigger than this room. And today, this is this incredible building that's there. You know, they did it in 9 months. So we want to get a lot of echo because it helps gentrify the city too. But what's really good about it and why it makes sense is that when you get into developments in rural areas, you got to install infrastructure and a lot of other things. Now today, in these buildings, they're already tied into sewer, to water, to electricity. They're on bus lines. They don't need cars. They can walk to stores. They can go to school. So we're trying to get as much of that as going as well. It actually is being built at price points commensurate, what they call in the AMI, what we know a lot of people are earning. We're realistic, because that word affordable gets thrown around a lot. These are different price points, and that's a condition of build as well. But by giving them financial incentives, we help the deal pencil out for the developers.
It's just that issue affected me personally. I'm so happy you guys are doing
your
best to try and get it going, because my daughter and my granddaughter want to come back home, and it's not affordable. So
well,
I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Les. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Come on up. Come on up. Appreciate the questions and the acknowledgement.
Thank you all for being here. I also want to thank the police department. I can just speak for Wahiawa. They're just such great guys. So I want to thank you for that. They're always there to help. I have a couple of things too. One for Parks and Recreation. Do you know, I cannot find...
Can you talk into the microphone? That will help. Only because we're doing...
I cannot find a playground for children to play. A nice little playground where a mother can bring her children. I find it very sad. I'm around this island. I travel 50 to 100 miles. I've lived here 50 years. I've never seen a community without a playground. Mothers need to be able to go somewhere and be with their children. We need to invest in our children. We need to clean Wahiawa up and put some energy and money into Wahiawa. My next thing is, here it is a year later. I know we spoke about the homeless, and I know you guys are working very hard on that, but it is double as bad in Wahiawa now. I just want to make you aware. I don't know if you know where they are all hiding. When you go from Wahiawa going towards the North Shore, there's a bridge. You look, there is a whole mountain of a city there. You come into Wahiawa off the highway, they're hiding all in there. You go from Wahiawa towards Mililani, the back way by 24-Hour Fitness, there's a whole encampment there. It's never ending. We need to clean this up. It's really, really bad, but they have to go somewhere. I think they're all just coming to Wahiawa.
Well, we've creating a lot of beds. We have a Wahiawa Family Center. We're looking at doing some other things. It's not easy. I could talk to you for the next hour. Jim Iyer could come up here.
I just want to make you guys aware, but there's one other area that I don't know if you know of also. When you drive from Wahiawa to go to Wailua, you will see both sides of the street lined with cars every morning and night of people sleeping in there. People are trying to find somewhere to go.
Yep.
But we kind of clean, why, this is my community. I am embarrassed of my community. I'm embarrassed for anyone to come. It's embarrassing. If you live there, or if you lived there, I don't mean to say
it wouldn't be any different. It wouldn't make it. We hear what you say. We're taking on an enormous problem.
But we need to clean it up.
Okay,
This
we
is
understand.
our backyard.
We understand. We got it.
Okay.
That's why I had Andy open
Thank
up
you.
tonight about Avocado Street. But
Thank
we're
you
not.
for that.
But we're
Thank
not
you.
denying what you're saying.
Yes,
Jim.
thank you for that.
So I'm Jim Ireland, Core Crisis Outreaches. We're the action arm of the homeless response. There's a multi-prong, but Roy, I'm going to have you just come up in a minute and talk about where people are going to go, because that's obviously a major part of this. But the action arm of CORE, we try to help people. Come with us, let's go to shelter, let's go to a respite, let's go to a kahale. And we're finding, in a lot of cases, they say, no, I like doing drugs, I'm doing illegal activity. Maybe they just like their hui, they like their pets. A lot of them are mentally ill, a lot of them are on drugs. So we have an unprecedented partnership with the state. And our new action arm of this is collaborative with law enforcement and CORE to go out together in people who are committing crimes or trespassing illegally or living in places where they're not supposed to. And the CORE team, the medical, the social worker arm, the community health worker, are going to offer people help. Yeah. And when they say no and they're committing crimes, then they're going to have to deal with the police. And our first one is this combined effort is tomorrow, and it's going to, we're going to see how it goes. It's our first one with sheriff, police, CORE, the nonprofits.
And DLNR.
And DLNR. And you'll see it tomorrow, I'm sure, in the news. It's not going to be in Wahiawa, but that's going to be the potential blueprint for going to Wahiawa. And then here's the thing, with state and city police, law enforcement, it does, so the other thing they do is, hey, I'm in a city property, oh, you're trespassing. Well, now I'm on the state property.
Okay,
Can't touch me.
I'm aware of all that.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are doing great things, but how would you like to live where you pay a mortgage and you live and you will not walk to a coffee shop?
Oh, no, I get it.
I will not walk to a grocery store.
You need to feel safe in your own neighborhood.
Well, but we can't. You had a 10-year-old girl on Avocado Street where they were trying to grab her going to school. This morning on my way out of Wahiawa, I counted 6 people along the sidewalk where kids were walking to school.
So we get the point. We know the area. Jim just told you.
So thank you for that.
Okay, and I promise you.
I know it's never ending. I think.
Well, you know, we've had some real success in the urban core.
I just didn't know if you knew where they were hiding.
Yeah, no, we've had some real success. Not to take issue with what Jim said about tomorrow, but we did a hell of a job of cleaning up Waimanalo. It's already been done.
Yes, you did. Thank
okay?
you. Yeah.
We will get here. Okay. Like I said, we already opened up the Wahiawa Family Center, which is full.
Yeah.
And we're looking at another location. And one of the things that Jim talked about, our partnership with the state, the Department of Health resides in the state. Yeah. It has access to monies we don't have. Yeah. Yet at the same time, the city, as Jim said, controls our ambulance services. And we also invested and created CORE. And we have our own ambulances for that. And we have 30 so people hired there. And we're doing this now. And we're also, from an enforcement standpoint, The city and state, the sheriff's department, our police department are working in tandem. And tomorrow, we have DLNR helping us as well. And we're going to go after a major encampment. And we're reclaiming this stuff. It's trickier than you think. The good news is, though, the Supreme Court, with the Grants Pass ruling, allowed us more latitude in enforcement. And so we're being pretty aggressive, but we also want to be humane. We have zero tolerance. I can tell you this, to credit to our police department, in Chinatown, in Waikiki, we have two programs in conjunction with the prosecutor's office. One's called Weed and Seed, and the other's called Safe and Sound. And we have a lot of people there in the urban core because of the density. They have long rap sheets. These are career criminals. Whether they're misdemeanors, every now and then they screw up with felonies, and then they end up in jail. These guys made 5,000 arrests in the last 3 years to put those programs in. 5,000. Okay? And that's not an exaggerated number, that's a documented number. We have zero tolerance on this stuff. You start telling me about somebody out there trying to grab a 10-year-old girl, or the person that got up here a little while ago and said somebody was rude to one of our kapuna, that's the kind of stuff we get short-circuited on.
Let's invest
Okay?
in our kids.
So we hear you. I promise you we'll work our way out. Thank you. Thanks for being so passionate. Okay. All right, come on up. Ted, you want to say something? Go ahead.
But yeah, just to let you know that we do have an interactive map on our website where you can actually go and look at where all the play apparatuses are within our parks. And so we do have a lot of play apparatuses that you can find and go to. So I do want to let you know that. And we are always actively looking at new locations, things like that, as well as updating our play apparatus. We do have master agreements where we can go in and fix and rebuild some of those things. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we would like, but yeah, we are actively working on that, so thank you. Wahiawa District Park, we actually just updated it. So yeah, so go take a look. Everybody bring your kids out. It's a great place.
Right. Thank you. It's all yours.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say thanks for coming, and all your staff and all of you guys. Okay, I'll make this very short.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
My name is Helio Raquino, Wahiawa.
Helio Ronquillo.
10-year-old was fake news. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is what you folks call the hump or a bump at the crosswalk.
The speed bump.
Yeah.
Which speed bump?
Oh, it's a speed bump. Okay. It should be placed 5 yards before the crosswalk, so you have enough time to be alert.
Wow.
When this,
where is that located? It's precise.
all over
Oh, everywhere you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're supposed to do one in Wahiawa, but cross fingers waiting. Okay.
Roger, you want to comment on that? I know you represent the city, the state.
Actually, you don't have to comment. You can do it online,
right.
so it makes it faster.
All right, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
when I first came into office, and really that was 4 years ago, I think we were putting in maybe 3 humps a year. We are up to backlog of more than 100 now. And that's just a small fraction when you look at what the state is doing. They're really doing the most. Now, your question about where should it be? Should it be 5 feet before? Should it be? That's a raised crosswalk and that's something that we are prioritizing near our schools. That we are looking at it. We're guided by big data science that our federal highways people tell us. We follow their traffic engineering guidelines, which are evolving on speed humps a little bit. Speed humps are great things because we know they slow people down. We know that. They're not for every location. Our first responders have started pushing back on us because they lose 10 seconds on every speed hump that they have to go over. Some communities push back on us because they're noisy. Some push back because they say people slow down, but then they accelerate. And so there's lots of techniques that we use in the city. Our goal is to try to make the street as safe as we possibly can. As I say, we know that speed humps are effective in slowing people down. We can study that, we can show you the evidence, but they're not a panacea, they're not the right treatment in every place.
Yeah, I know, but by the time you get to the speed bump,
Yeah.
you're in a crosswalk. It's like this.
Sure, and
Yeah. So it's no sense, you're not warning nobody. You
Well,
just catapulting yourself
Yeah.
to hit the pedestrian. That's what I want.
Okay.
That's one
Thank-
of it.
thank you.
Okay.
At least
Point-
maybe 5 yards before the crosswalk.
I promise you, point well taken. We'll have that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoever's here, just
All right.
make
Thank
sure
you.
it goes in the right ear.
So you have another question?
And, yeah, one more.
Go
There's
ahead.
a metal plate on the freeway, been there almost a year.
A metal plate on the
Seems
freeway?
like Hawaii have a problem fixing gaps on the roadway. You know, all the
Okay.
gaps that
Yeah. Which
join the
freeway?
bridge. It's on the freeway going to the tech park.
Yeah.
H2.
It's H2, and
Yeah,
it's you know, I don't want to pass the buck.
We
I don't
hate
like
to
do
say
that,
this.
but you
We're
know,
Rogers of-
it's a state highway.
Okay.
And
All right.
you
That's all.
got to call the
Just-
State
But
Department.
I hate
Yeah.
to say that because we're doing so much cross-collaboration with
Yeah.
them.
On some things with the state, like we used to pave the road up to an intersection, and it was a state road, and then we'd go to the other side, we pave the other side. Now we go right through.
Okay.
So
You
we
got that.
we
It's
try
a
to do
state.
those kind of
Thank
things,
you.
but it's
Okay.
a state road.
Wait, I still got,
No,
this will be really fast
do
now.
Go ahead.
The water table, okay?
The water table.
Now, when you do something like that, he seems to have a good idea, you know? So why not use the lowest part of the island to do a water table, not the highest part?
Dr.
Okay,
Babcock?
you don't have to comment. You comment later on.
Okay.
Okay, and I got one more. Okay.
No.
No, this will be fast.
I should
You
have
don't
said
to
one.
comment.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Forget about the bridge at Alawai. Give it to the first responders, the funds. Forget about the bridge.
All right,
We don't need that. First responders, number one. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Are you like from the same famous Ronquillo family? I know. Ben, no, different one. Okay. I know those guys a long time ago. Here you go. Come on.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Chun. I am the hockey director for Hawaii Inline Hockey. Thank you, Mililani Board, for all the support the last 2 years. We are a nonprofit roller hockey league here in Mililani. We started just about 2 years ago. In that short time, we have grown to be the largest roller hockey league in the state. 4 islands, we're already the biggest. So when we first started, we came to this same place and asked to have the rink opened up because it was locked. And thank you, Mayor, for helping us get that open so we can get started. That was April 2023. And we have a bunch of our Hi families here showing support. Thank you very much for coming out. And some of our players. But my question is, we've been in talks a lot about how we can get some upgrades to the facility. It was made about 25 years ago, so it could use some love. So is there any updates on that?
Well, we're going to give you a little bit more than love. We released $2 million to plan, design, and construct. We released the money. I left a letter in my car because I knew we were going to get asked this question. Because we're going to create, because we were able to change the other skate park because the poles were there. Actually, the poles were down, but the electricity was there. We found poles. DFM, I think, got the poles. We were able to recreate that. And I went to the opening that night of that skate park out here, right? There's no electricity at that hockey rink. So what we're going to do is create electricity. We're going to build a really cool, how do I want to describe this? What would be the word for it? But would be, you have the words for this? Ted, if you do, it'll have lights, and we're going to put in the new court. $2 million earmarked for that. What? Yeah, it has lights inside. We're not going to put light posts. It's built with the lights.
Yeah, so it's a covering built with lights in. So the challenge, right, like Mayor said, is there isn't infrastructure right now for the electricity. So we got to work on getting that in. And so, yeah, so building a covering, so it'll cover, it's not going to be fully enclosed.
It'll be open on the side. You don't want it fully enclosed.
No,
This is Hawaii.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
You don't
Yeah.
want that. You want the trays to blow through, but you want to be able to have something that gives it, is just going to really dramatize the rink, you know? And plus the new flooring, which is great, so when the kids fall, it won't be on the cement, right?
Exactly, yes.
We heard you. We've heard you. Like, we're going to get that done.
Next week, be done? What do you think? No.
Wish.
We're gonna get, no, I just released the money. We're doing it. You gotta thank Scott Humber out there, who's a line skater. He's the director of communications.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay. In fact, I forgot to announce our communications team. Scott Humber, director of communications. Ryan Wilson with the handheld camera. Ian Schuring was here a little while ago. Brenda Higo over there. Rick, we're doing it.
Yes.
We're doing it. Just like we're doing the racing. The guys, I don't know if we're gonna hear from the car racing guys. 20 acres, gonna happen in Kalailoa. We're going to do that.
Thank you so much. That's amazing news. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Come on up. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jenny Wolf, and this question is for customer service. Okay, back in March, I think it was March 10th, my husband mailed in our car registration because he didn't want to pay the 2.8% to go online. Okay, and we waited and waited. We never got our renewal and our sticker. So come, I think the 31st, my husband called customer service, and they couldn't tell him whether or not our check was ever received. So I thought we got lost in the mail, because the mail sometimes do lose your mail. But so the customer service lady, my husband did not get her name, he should have, told him to go to the Satellite City Hall and go pay it there. You know, go to the express line. And he told him, well, if you're not so sure about your check, why don't you put a stop payment on it? And I went to the bank and put a stop payment on that check. And then when he went to the Satellite City Hall, he found out that they wouldn't allow us to pay it. They said, oh, we already received your check, and, you know, they're in the process of doing our registration. But the stop payment was already, had gone in. And so I called and talked to several people. They couldn't give me any answer. I finally got a lady named Margaret, who finally says, oh, they shouldn't have told you that, because, you know, you're gonna end up in collection. I says, I don't want that. You know, I'm trying to pay my bill, but they keep telling us we can't pay it. So she said that she would talk to her supervisor, okay, and if she calls me back, then it's not okay. If she doesn't call me back, everything's okay. But to this date, I've checked my checking account, and that check that we wrote still has not returned to the bank. So it's still outstanding.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is get your name and contact info, and I will go and check.
Okay.
And to see what happened to your
Yeah.
check, because the first number that you called was at 768-4325?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So that group that answered isn't able to look at our motor registration system. So they would need to escalate to our staff to look it up.
Yeah, but she didn't.
So she should have.
Yeah.
She should have.
Yeah.
And at that point in time.
Excuse me, she said, I called them twice, they're not answering. But instead of telling my husband, we'll leave a message for them and they'll call you back, she didn't tell him that. She told him to go to the Satellite City Hall in Wahiawa, stand in the express line, and he stood in line for 45 minutes. He did it twice, okay? A few days later, he tried again. They still wouldn't accept our payment.
Yeah.
And he ended up having to pay 51 cents for
Why don't we
a
just get your
sticker.
name? I want to move it along. We've got
Right.
45 minutes.
Okay.
Let's just, okay?
We'll follow up with you.
Yeah,
thank
let's
you.
do that,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I said at the outset tonight, before the next person comes up, if any elected officials showed up tonight, I would also recognize them. Lauren Matsumoto, Representative Lauren Matsumoto is in the room. Thank you, Rep. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. All right, who's up?
Hi guys, can I move this? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm PJ McColgan. I live in.
Are you two together? Okay.
This is my friend. We're not.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you might just take a seat there.
She's gonna back me up.
Okay.
Because I got something to say. No, just kidding.
Go ahead.
I live in Launani Valley, and I work at the church at the top of the hill. You can see the cross when you're coming up H2, right where that piece of metal is. And I used to be the handyman, deacon, landscaper guy there. And every year, multiple times a year, that fence gets hit by a car. And my wife is the church secretary, She checks the mail there. We moved the mailbox so she could look down the road just in case a car is coming. I've seen a Honolulu disposal service truck hit it in the middle of the day, crash into our tree. We have a preschool there, and for years we were asking for a guardrail, some recommended speed sign with a flashing light or anything. You guys eventually, after a few years, put up signs, and a couple months later the sign got hit, and then our fence got hit. And we lost a ton of money, probably over $50,000 in damages from our church, and we have a preschool there. And I just thank God my wife didn't get hit yet, or me when I'm landscaping. So, if you could
So
put
what is the question though, so we can see?
Oh yeah. Can you put something there? That's the question. Yeah.
Okay.
Aloha. My name is Teresa Kueho. I sit on Neighborhood Board 35, Mililani, Mauka, and Launani Valley. This was a subject that came up in our meetings because I live in that valley as well, and that there's a very sharp turn that had no signage. And it had the little squiggly because there's a curve in the road, but nothing about a turn or anything. Finally, when I got on the board, I did ask because that was like the 5th time the fence, and at one point the water valves were all crashed. In 3 days, 4 days, they didn't have water. And so when I brought it up at our board meeting, it came out, thankful to Councilmember Wyer's staff, Kelly and Naya, that they did some research, and there was a work order from 2020 to put something there. This was finally in 2023, in December, they put in the chevron signs. Shortly thereafter, the signs got hit. Shortly thereafter that, it got hit again. So what I had requested and what we had requested as a community, if maybe we could put in some guardrails to protect that property and the people on the sidewalk even. But whoever went out and did the engineer went out and did the traffic study. They were saying, oh no, it's not necessary. It's not at all necessary. So the chevron signs went up. We also asked, can we make that a little slower? Because it's 25 miles per hour. If you go right down here, Kipapa Drive, where Mililani High School Stadium is, it's the same kind of turn. It's 15 miles per hour. So the question is it possible to get a secondary study now that the city has incurred damage and loss? Maybe they might be a little more engaged to put something there to protect the fire hydrants, the signage, and this property overall. Their insurance rates have gone up.
Yeah. So let me try to answer that. Yes, we can do a secondary study, and I want to get your name before we leave here so we can get to you and we can do a proper follow-up with our engineering staff. Sounds like we've been out there at least a few times. With respect to the request for the lower speed limit by the school, yes, we just passed an ordinance that empowers the city to lower the speed limit by schools to 20 miles per hour. Well, our slogan is 20 is plenty for school zones, and we're committed this year to do, we have literally we have hundreds of locations where that might happen. And the big part of that is going out and replacing all the speed signs. Doing a few schools is not a big deal, but doing 500 schools is a big deal. So we're going to do 9 this year. We're going to do a little learning curve on how that goes. And then we're going to try to budget for doing a wider scale approach. Probably several years, but we're going to take an island-wide viewpoint of safe streets around schools. We also have we have several $1 million of safe streets for schools, 2.5 billion that our state partners released to our department 2 days ago, and so that will allow us to also prioritize safety treatments, particularly around places like schools and preschools and areas like that, to try to make our streets safe. There is a cookbook that we use, the Uniform Manual for Traffic Regulation, that we use to go out to, and we warrant the crosswalks. Our department is the ones that warrant them. They're not cheap, and there's a manual of uniform traffic control devices that have criteria in it, but there's one part of that that says, that here's how it takes to warrant this. But it also says that if you have special circumstances, you're near a school, you have a history of accidents, then I expect my engineers to use their own engineering, engineering smarts to do it. And that's allowed by all the rules. Is you expect your engineers to not simply look and use a cookbook, but to actually go out and try to, make a solution that works.
Okay, good. Let's make sure we get your information. I promise you we'll follow up on that.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
That kind of question and this kind of a challenge and problem is exactly what we want to have at these town halls, because we ought to be able to fix that.
Yeah.
And not only that, make it safe, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thanks for your
both.
time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, who's up?
Hi, my name is Laura Jennings.
Laura?
Yes, and
Hi,
I live
Laura.
in Mililani. I want to hear whether or not you support diversity, equity, and inclusion measures. I'll put it into context.
Well, let me just ask you, look at this cabinet,
I understand that.
okay?
But we have an administration now.
Yeah, but here's what I'm going to tell you right now,
Let
okay?
me just say.
All right.
Let me speak my mind,
Go ahead.
please. Short but
Go ahead.
sweet.
Go ahead.
We have an administration now that's threatening to eliminate federal funding for K through 12 schools who do not sign this pledge for anti-DEI.
Mm-hmm.
As a retired pediatrician, I think it's very important that we teach our young people that you do not appease a bully. Unless you want your lunch money to be taken the next day, you do not appease a bully. And I know I did not vote for a coward when I voted for you.
Thank you.
I've already emailed and called the governor. I know him from having worked in the legislature in years past. And so he knows my stance. I really don't want to hear, well, it just depends on what the state does. I want to know that you support and will continue to support DEI measures, even if it means that we have to pay for our own stuff. We cannot back down from this bully.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? Because I didn't mean to cut you off. I've been getting asked a lot of questions lately about what the federal government's doing, okay? And we're trying to sort that out because the information comes in almost by the day. And we're trying to decide, okay, what is being asked of us? What are we being told? What is being threatened to us? What are the consequences? I don't have all that information. And I opened up, and I wasn't trying to be sarcastic, but you live in Hawaii. If
I know that.
We all know who we live with and how we live, right? So we're just going to have to deal with whatever circumstances present themselves to us. Yesterday I took a meeting with the Filipino Consul General. He's brand new to Hawaii. And I asked him if he had met with ICE, and he told me he did. And I said, so what did they say to you about the fact that we have 48,000 illegal immigrants in the state of Hawaii, 22,000 of which are Filipino? What did they say? Because I didn't know. But that's a reality. And we've had real concerns about what ICE might do. And he said, they told us we're not a target, okay? And so I'm trying to watch what's happening on the mainland, trying to understand what we're being asked of here, and sort that out. And right now it would be premature. We get about $300 million in federal funding. Half of that is on transportation, the other half is in housing vouchers. We've already lost about $12 million in cuts, okay? And I said in my State of the City, since Les came up and talked about that we put in contingency monies, but not 300, but we think we're gonna be okay. We hope we're gonna be okay on the housing and the HUD. But now, of late, just this week, there's been a whole different wave of statements being made about withholding federal funds for noncompliance. We have yet to deal with that, Laura. And, we gotta figure out what they actually ask of us, and whether or not we're even gonna be asked as other places are being asked. We don't know yet. And that's the truth.
Well, in the news today, just today, 2 federal judges, one of whom was Trump appointed, put the kibosh on this, this having to sign this pledge.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to eliminate your, in order to get your K through 12 funding. And I think that's a good development. Of course, they will appeal. But I think that's a great development.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure that you know that there are many of us who support diversity, equity, and inclusion measures, and we want to support you if you support that.
Well, yeah, well, I do. And look, I think we have an added point of leverage in the discussion with them in that we have indigenous people here, you know, and it's culturally, it's different. It's composed differently. And we want to see. But to date, I'm telling you honestly, Laura, and I appreciate your support. And I should, by the way, Lori has federal money too, and I alluded to the FTA monies tied up to it, so there's a little bit more on that as well. But honestly, right now, and I said this clearly a few weeks ago at the State of the City, that I'm not somebody that overreacts, and I'm not a coward, but I want to know what I'm dealing with first, okay? And so right now, there's been no direct confrontation. I just been getting less. I understand the uncertainty that this has created. I'm very aware of what it's done to stock markets. I'm very aware of, I'm watching it like, you know, it's almost hard to believe.
Yes.
But we will deal with whatever we have to deal with the time we have to do it with integrity and in the best interest of the people who live here. I promise you that.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
My name is Raymond Sin. I'm active duty United States Air Force. I can provide sort of maybe a newer perspective, just being here about 6 months.
Okay.
I grew up in a city called Torrance, California.
Yep, I know it well.
In 1976, the Taira family moved their bread factory from Hilo, Hawaii to Torrance. And so with government, defense, a lot of industry, we've seen a lot of Japanese American, Asian American heritage, as well as private industry. My question as a former high school teacher before I joined the military is, what is the city or the county doing to incentivize high-quality teachers to stay? And I will share, I had a very amazing high school teacher, Mr. Bianco, of Italian heritage. He always said to talk with your hands when you're trying to make a point come across. And he also told me that make sure you have good reason to talk to the people here to make decisions.
Yep.
So for me, I want to share something. In 1959, Hawaii became annexed by the United States. You guys know who the two state senators were? Anyone? Hiram Fong, an immigrant Chinese plantation worker who was illiterate. And the second one, and before that, Hiram Fong was actually United States Air Force as an attorney, judge advocate, as well as Orrin Long, who was a school teacher and worked in public welfare.
Okay.
And lastly, just the education point, you have, from my understanding, an entertainment background. I'd love to hear what you're doing for the entertainment industry to come here to the state of Hawaii.
Okay, great. Thank you, Raymond. First of all, the Department of Education, since you've been here for 6 months, is controlled by the state. But we said we don't like passing it off on the state. We're kind of playing a different role. And we talked earlier about what we're trying to do in housing, because we know what teachers make. We know what nurses make. We know what our firefighters, what our first responders make, what families with both couples working. We know that we live in an ALICE state. Are you familiar with that acronym? It stands for Asset Limited Income Controlled Employed. It's we're one of 19 states. It gets measured. More than 60% of our people who live here, work here, are living paycheck to paycheck, okay? And that's a lot of anxiety in the lives of people, because if even the smallest thing happens, they get behind financially. So that's why I said earlier that from the city's standpoint of being on the sideline when it came to creating housing was more than irresponsible. It was assisting in the out-migration of people who are leaving, who don't want to leave. They just give up because the math doesn't work anymore. And we're very aware of what that would mean. We've also transferred a lot of our land that with the schools, the DOE, the building was owned by the state. Christian, if I say something wrong, bail me out, okay? The city owned the land. We've given the land that the schools are on back to the state so they could build teacher affordable housing there as an assist. Is that correct? We're working on it. Not done yet. Okay, that's our intention. When you ask me directly, how can we contribute to teachers? So it's housing, okay, in this particular case, And it's also trying to help the state build teacher housing where they can live literally on campus. In fact, I've done that once. I lived in faculty housing once. It really helped, you know? So we're trying to do that.
Yes, I spoke to Gordon Pang, who's in charge, I believe, of the
Yes.
city county.
Yes.
He's doing a lot of projects with developers, real estate investors. So I think here, the state senators, we should know this, right?
Yeah.
This is the state of Hawaii. I just want to say I appreciate your time. And lastly, any points to entertainment?
Well, I want to talk about the Film Commission. We have Vailea Constantino, who's been the film commissioner for City and County of Hawaii for 75 years. She doesn't look it. No. How long, Vailea, have you been the film commissioner?
I got a chance to found the office in 1993.
Yeah, that's a founder. Okay, and I used to deal with this lady a lot when I was in the other side of the
I
business.
promise I gave him the permits he asked for.
Yeah, I know. I love having her team. Why don't you give an update? Because this is something, you know, during COVID, everybody talked about diversifying the economy, and we said, you know, you got to be honest about yourself on the likelihood of that. We need to build on some existing assets that we have. One of them was the film industry, because I'll let Vailea, you take it away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So thank you very much for the question and for recognizing what kind of an economic engine the film industry can be. It's good jobs, it's quality jobs, it's high-paying jobs, it's being able to afford a house and to put your kids to school kind of jobs. We partner with the state. We don't have any silos in that. We do joint marketing to do attraction. We do problem solving as far as whatever the questions or the issues are. We've just been partnering the last few months to address some issues within the tax credit that could be revised to make it much more meaningful and functional for the industry. But one of the things I'm most proud about is something that we partnered with this administration to do. The most significant piece of economic film legislation was called Bill 59, which is to incentivize infrastructure so that we can have more long-term growth within that. It's 20 years of property tax forgiveness for an entity to build a serious studio complex, not just a warehouse building that's been retrofitted, but a minimum of $100 million investment on a minimum of 10 acres of land. And so we wanted to give that foundation so that the tax credit, when it brings in the projects, has a place to anchor to and to grow even further. And that would not have happened, honestly, without tremendous support by this administration, the mayor in particular, the budget and fiscal, and a number of other people who recognize the value.
All right, let me put that in terms of dollars and cents, and we'll come up to the next question. We've been doing historically about $500 million a year.
Between 400, 450 million.
Okay.
When you apply the economic impact to that, it's nearly 750 to 800 million.
All right. We could more than double that number if we had the right film studios. And in case in point, over the last couple of years, just to keep the fires warm, Vailea and I went to LA. I used to work there. So we visited Universal, Disney, Amazon, Warner Brothers, all the major studios, talked to all the studio heads. They're all very interested and excited about what we might do here. I wish we could get it done tomorrow. And you look at the productions that happen here, and they come in here with the film studios today. They just do a little bit here because we don't have the capability, and then they do it elsewhere in film studios all over the world. And they can make it look like they're in Hawaii. So one of the things that we know we can do is these are really incredible jobs. These are not jobs. These are careers. And we want to we walked into Amazon, and this is no lie, first 3 guys I met in Amazon were all from Hawaii, into their studios. And they all say, hey, bro, we will come home tomorrow if we could work like this up there. So this is a dream of mine. After 43 years in the media business, she's been with me. We've made strong statements to production communities, and we know the math. And we've got really good support going on. I think we're really close to getting to groundbreaking. So we've got 36 acres put aside on the West Oʻahu campus. Is where we're thinking about doing, or did that change?
University of Hawaii has set aside the land. They've gone through a proposal process. They've named an entity, and I think the final lease agreement on that is coming to a head. Okay. And we're trying to align the tax credits to help drive that so we can build it further.
Tax credits are the currency of the film industry. That's its own education here to get they would like to phase them because it's been used in the building industry. We're just trying to get them to adapt and understand. You know, it's no different than if I would go out in the backyard there and pick up a bag of rocks and then go to Long's drugstore and buy something and offer them the rocks, and they go, we don't accept rocks for, you know, we don't do that. Well, that's how you do the business in the film. And so this is taking a lot to get going, but it's a great business in front of us, so thank
I want to be
you.
respectful of everyone's time, but in the military, we do a lot of joint exercise with other militaries and governments in the world. For affordability, homelessness, and crime, they're all related. I think that the United States, I've been to Kensington, Philadelphia, the Tenderloin of San Francisco, the south side of Chicago, the Skid Row in Los Angeles. Look into some of these models in Singapore, New Zealand, Taiwan.
Yeah, we get it, I understand that. But this is the United States, and things happen differently, okay? We've looked at the Singapore, we've looked at the Taiwan models, we understand that. Okay, you're back up again a second time?
Well, that first one wasn't mine. I just had a backstory.
It was a backstory.
I was just helping him.
Go ahead.
So
no speeches.
No speeches.
Okay.
This is probably going to be for DPP, DFW, maybe OTS, and whoever else wants to just volunteer. So this morning, I sit on neighborhood board. I'm not a crazy person. I don't belong to Outdoor Circle. However, our community has been bombarded, overly bombarded, just like any other city, with illegal signage. Things on poles, things in the grass, things that fall off because people leave it there for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Whatever, the garage sale's done, didn't go back and get their sign. So this morning I went around one block, maybe about 45 minutes. We've got graduation poster, this is a business sign. I called DPP this morning, it is not allowed. No business signs are allowed. Come buy a puppy. That is, it's not only not allowed sign, it's an illegal activity. You cannot sell dogs and cats in Hawaii. This one with Frenchies, you want the number, I'll give it to you after. Garage sale sign that actually was falling onto our sidewalks where our kupuna walked through. It was laying on the side. I don't know when it was, but there's an address, so DPP could follow up and send a letter out or charge them $200 to get it back, because that's what I think the fine was, to get your property back. My favorite was this one. This isn't even happening in our community. This is happening in Kaimuki. I'm not here to shame any of these businesses. We are all trying to make money. I also have my own business. I do not do this in my community or anyone else's. I use social media or mail things out, right? So my question is this something that maybe we can have an extended office or, you know, have volunteers go around? Because sending a photo, 311 or whatever, every single day for every single sign, staff is driving past. I see the big trucks from DFW sitting under a tree, hanging out, because it's a break. I went up to them and said, hey, there's a big pile of trash down there. Do you guys report them? No, somebody has to send it into the office. They're right there on the street, seeing it. Officers see it, everyone else sees it. My confusion, my question is, why doesn't those who are being paid by the city, I'm not paid by the city, making those reports?
Okay. All right, so let me get this right now. You've got 10 police officers in the room, and you stole all those signs.
I did not steal them. They were trash. And they all know
I'm just
who I am.
kidding.
Kidding you. They know where I live.
Just kidding you.
I got more in the back. And I got them in case
Arrest
you wanted
this lady, sir.
$200.
All right, no, that's okay. I think this is the kind of thing, though, and Mililani is great at this as a community, where, honestly, it's not a police action, something like that. This is when you do the community walks and stuff like that. There's something to be said for, you know, doing stuff like that as a community. It has probably more impact, you know? So, point well taken. Point well taken.
I'm happy to do the research. I can get you a phone number and an owner real fast. Send them that letter. I think we need to, maybe council member's office, maybe what we need to do is start sending a cease and desist, go get all your stuff, or we're gonna charge you $50 a day for every single sign that's taking up space in the city property. Maybe that's something that might motivate businesses to stop doing this.
Well,
because I've made phone calls when their signs fall off at the bus stops. I said, hey, you got some signs, you might wanna go remove them because they're not legal.
Yeah.
They all stay there.
All right, good. No, good point. Good point. Yes, ma'am. Hey. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. My name is Deborah King, and I live in Chinatown. Thank you so much for all coming here, Mr. Mayor and cabinet members. And the reason why I'm here tonight is because I go around the island and I volunteer. And I have allergies, and I know that some of the other community members along the North Shore, they have mentioned that they would like to farm. And I know that there's a lot of agricultural land, and I know you're going to say that's a state thing.
No.
So my question is, does the city and county have access to any agricultural land? And if not, can you acquisition any of it? Because the reason why I say this is because I also try to support my local businesses and restaurants.
Yeah.
And I don't always have the access to eat the foods that I'm able to eat because I have allergies, I'm allergic to preservatives, I have environmental toxins.
So the question is...
So the question is there any way, one, to get, I know that there are a lot of people who would like to do farm to table or things like that.
Yes.
Two, I know Foodland in Kapolei has a fresh local food bar.
Yep.
It would be nice if that would be accessible some other places. Three, I know that I went to Wendy's the other day and they advertised, welcome to real, welcome to fresh. And they pulled out a salad that was limp and everything like that. So anyway, I would just like more accessibility to fresh food.
Okay. So the first hint is don't eat at Wendy's. Anybody know, anybody know about the ag land? Does the city own any ag land? I don't think, we're not in that business. Oh, the state controls it. Jim?
This is just a small piece that, our department, Emergency Services, we acquired a 33-acre parcel for a potential future station. And Councilmember Wire, who's in the back here, what was helpful in this, that we don't need all 33 acres. So we're going to partner, and it's on the windward side, we're going to partner with a community group for sustainability. So it's just a little thing. It's 33 acres, but forgive me, Councilmember, who are we partnering with over there? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but yeah, those guys. But just community group, their sustainability, they're going to go taro, it's a wetland. So it's just one example, but yeah, that's us.
Ted, what are the parks doing about fresh food?
So one thing I wanted to just mention is we do have the People's Open Market. And so what that does is it kind of travels around the island. So I don't have the schedule right now, but we can get to you with the schedule. I believe it is online. But it's kind of a traveling market where we do have fresh produce, so local growers can come out and sell. We have it in various parks right across the entire island. So that is definitely one thing we're doing for that. We do also have our community gardens, so they're not specifically for commercial use, but if you are interested in growing your own produce, you can join one of our community gardens.
All right, thanks. Next question. Good to see you again.
Hello, Mayor. I'm sorry, this isn't a question. I did, by the way, my name is Danielle Bass. I'm the chair of the Mililani Neighborhood Board. And I've attended all of your town halls here in Mililani and alternatively in Wahiawa. And so I really just wanted to thank you and your cabinet, as well as all the city departments, for your dedicated work for our community. In fact, I've written a quick little list here of all the work you've all done in our Mililani area with our Mililani Neighborhood Board in the last year. So I wanted to particularly recognize Lloyd from the City Neighborhood Commission Office for all of his support of our board's work. I wanted to thank Tracy from the Department of Enterprise Services, representing you at every single neighborhood board. I wanted to thank Managing Director Formby, who has supported our board at the City Council level. And in hearings, I wanted to thank Department of Parks and Recreation Director Thielen, as well as Nate Sirota here, for all of their hard work at Mililani District Park, at Kaumayaku Park with the hockey facility, the District Park for the skate facility, as well as Central Oʻahu Regional Park, so mahalo for that. I wanted to thank Department of Transportation Services, Department of Facility Maintenance for common sidewalk repair, street sign repair in the Mililani area. Wanted to mahalo the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency for coming to our board last night to make a presentation on your wonderful work, as well as Board of Water Supply, who comes to our neighborhood board every month religiously. And of course, Kathy lives in North Shore, so she'll always come to Mililani and always stop by and provide actual specialized services for the Mililani area. Of course, always mahaloing Honolulu Fire Department, Honolulu Police Department for the community policing team in the Mililani area, so mahalo for that. As well as DPP, Dawn, for your presentation on land use in our community this past year, Department of Enterprise Service, or Environmental Services for your presentation at our Mililani Neighborhood Board, as well as Council Members Okimoto and Wire for supporting capital improvements in our community, as well as passing a resolution encouraging a Mililani Police Substation here, so we are looking forward to that. And finally, Mayor, thank you for your service and dedication to our community. Mahalo.
Thank you, Danielle. This is our 25th, I said that earlier, we've done that. Nobody's ever done that before. On behalf of my team behind me, I want to thank you for those acknowledgments. Thank you very much. I also neglected in the beginning, and I should have said his name. He's not here tonight because he had to be in a 13th hour thing that we're dealing with before the ledge closes tomorrow. Mike Formby, the managing director of the city. All of these people report to Mike. The only person in the city reports to the mayor is the corporation counsel, the head lawyer, because it's the way it is. No, but I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to do that because we're on TV. But that said, Mike is absolutely brilliant. He's been my right hand, my left hand. Everybody in this team respects him. He's been the driving force behind so many of the things we've gotten done. So anyway, next, we got about 15, a little bit less than 15 minutes. Sir, come on up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Reed Shimabukuro, retired federal firefighter.
Hey, Reed.
Also founder of the Whole Mouth Fire Academy. We're a nonprofit investing in local kids, getting them a career in any branch of public safety. And so I want to provide some perspective of what's going on in public safety. Number one, in the fire service, because that's my background. Today, we find that a lot of firefighters think they want the job, they get hired, and then they find out that this isn't the job for them, okay? In the federal fire department, the attacks on probationary employees right now in the federal sector is wreaking havoc to the point where probationary firefighters are looking for other jobs. They don't feel like they have job security. The president has also imposed or given deferred resignation. So our top level in the federal side is starting to leave, taking an early retirement, leaving big pukas in the departments. I don't think the Honolulu Fire Department, and I'm very careful to speak on their behalf, have a problem with hiring. Maybe it's more retention. And so those two things go hand in hand. And so now where we were 100% focused on grooming local firefighters, we've now expanded to EMS. We've got a few in Jim's organization. We've got our first police officer that's just about to start the recruit academy. We've got a ton that have been hired in the fire service, both HFD, HPD.
So great, that's great work.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
We've identified a location on Kalaeloa. Just so happened, it's an old fire station. We are looking for you, the mayor, and the cabinet to help us find that's a perfect home for this organization to groom.
Okay, good. Okay, got Krishna.
Yeah, no, thank you for all of your work on behalf of the community, everything that you do. Let's get together right after this.
Okay.
Let's talk some more. Let's find out what property you're looking at and what we can do to help you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll follow up with that. If the way we could make that happen, if you could be running a farm system for any of our first responders to help develop them, get into this, that's just going to help, and we welcome that. But I will say this to you, and I kind of alluded to it when I was speaking on behalf of our police officers tonight. It's not so much about the systemic operations of our first responder units, whether it's the police, the fire, EMS, or ocean safety, which is represented here tonight. Part of the challenge that I see is a societal one, you know, in younger people coming up, not really knowing what they want, and having people get into something and then thinking that's not what I want to do, is not necessarily a fault of the department. If you're in the business of coaching these young people, you know exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And that is where the concern is. That is where the concern is. And we need to do something about that. And I think all the more, and that's true of the military as well, although the military does an incredible job of, you know, that I think is one of the real challenges. Leadership is situational. And where we are right now in the 6th year of the 3rd decade of the 21st century, you know, with the younger generations coming up and what they're looking for is a real challenge to inspire and motivate. I'm not saying we don't have plenty to do. We do. But I would tell you, I can remember hiring people in the media business who begged to just wanted a part of it, you know, and 3 months later walking in, I don't want to do this anymore. I actually had that happen. It happened more than a couple of times. So I've seen it firsthand, and you wonder about that. But I appreciate everything you're doing. We will follow up with you. We will.
Thank you.
If we can make that happen, we'll be happy to do it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Heidi Weber, and I live in Pearl City. I'm here tonight because I can't make the meeting that's at Radford, which I guess is supposed to be the Pearl City meeting.
In 2 weeks, yes.
So my first question is, does anybody here know what the #1 cause of death for Hawaii's keiki is? I bet you do. It's drowning, yes? Drowning for our keiki on an island. We are not teaching our kids how to swim. 2% of our 2nd graders don't know how to rescue themselves if they're in a situation where they're going to drown. Our resident drowning rate in Hawaii is 2nd highest behind Alaska. And our Native Hawaiians and our Pacific Islanders are disproportionately represented when drownings occur. So my question is, we have amazing facilities at our parks, and we have pools that are accessible for free all over this island, and we have a lot of great schools. We need the administration to collaborate with the state, and I've heard you time and again saying that you guys are doing great work collaborating with federal and collaborating with the state of Hawaii to make things happen. What we really need to have happen is we need to teach the kids that live here how to swim, because we do live on an island. And the reality is they can't go 10 miles in any direction before they hit water. So I would ask that we go against the trend. There is a report the Aspen Institute put out, State of Play in Hawaii, where they actually say that the inability to swim is a marker of poverty. And that comes up time and again. We need to teach our kids how to swim, and we need to be able to have the support of our parks so that our state Department of Education can work that back into the curriculum, because it's something that they had in the 70s, the 80s, and it went away. So I'd like to encourage that, please.
All right, Heidi, thank you. Kurt, do you want to say anything about that as our head of ocean safety?
No, the stats are true, and we're very much aware of them, and they're very serious. We're very supportive of that initiative, and I think there is ways that we can work and hopefully get to that. For the city, we do offer a junior lifeguard program. It's not for super young keiki. It's 11 to 17 years old, but it's a great program, and I think Parks also has their summer fun program where they also do a lot of education in drowning prevention.
I'll tell you what, Heidi, Kurt might have been aware of those statistics. I had never heard those before, about 2nd graders especially, so. 2%. That's amazing. That's amazing. Ted, anything you want to offer from Parks and Rec?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we do have classes, and we do provide swim classes and things like that at our parks. We would be happy to collaborate with DOE if they're interested in doing that. So, I mean, that's definitely something we could look into.
Thank you, because I do have a couple kids,
yeah,
and I made it a priority to make sure that they could swim.
Yeah.
And I stood in lines, and I was waitlisted for the lessons at the parks, and I paid for lessons because I was able to.
But what we really need to do is collaborate with the schools so that every child that is in our elementary schools has an ability to get to these parks and get the education so they know how to swim. We live on an island.
No,
We got to do better.
Points well taken, Heidi. Thank you. Great time. Okay, this says we have 6 minutes left. Young lady.
Hello, my name is Joellen Reynolds, and I'm a certified nurse midwife and a retired Navy commander. And I don't.
Is it you, Joanne?
Joellen.
Joellen. Okay,
Yes.
Joellen. Go
And
ahead.
I don't feel like I want to ask questions. I just want to stick things out here so that you can take care of them later.
I remember you from last year.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Yes.
About the fire.
Yeah.
The fire that nobody responded to, and that's why you had 40 days of trying to fight a fire. That was me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First thing is, here in Hawaii, we don't have bathrooms for everybody. It's only for people going to restaurants. So I'd like to have you all think that, start thinking about the fact that other places in the United States, and in Europe for that matter, have bathrooms for people who come and visit them. That's number one. Let's see. College education, I would like to see it made affordable for the people who live here in Hawaii. Also, anybody who graduates from college should have some focus about what they want to do, including the fact that they should, if they want to, they should have already been able to have trade school education in the high school. So you can graduate being a plumber or an electrician or something like that, so that we don't have, this would help certainly with the homeless people here in Hawaii.
We do a lot of work in workforce development. We have Jobs Hawaii. 80% of our kids do not go on to college. We've got a lot of vocational opportunities for them that we've been doing, but go ahead.
Okay. Fruit trees. Supposedly, you know, back hundreds of years, there were lots of fruit trees here in Hawaii. So if you went off to school, you could grab an avocado or grab a papaya or something like that and have that for breakfast. We don't have that anymore. The trees that we are planting are not fruit trees. Here we are in Mililani. We just had some really nice trees planted along Meheula. Why weren't they avocado trees or papaya trees or something that people can eat? I just don't get it. And besides that, we here on this island only have 1 week's worth of food available to us. He's shaking his head yes.
And we know that.
Yeah. So you guys, we're going to starve to death if we don't continue to have food coming into the island. So now's the time to plant trees. Okay.
Yeah, one more.
And I
Joellen,
would
one more.
also
Go ahead.
one more.
Make it your big
free breakfast and lunch for all school kids.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you, Joellen. You know, I understand everything you're saying, and the reality of all of that, and we're addressing a lot of stuff, but I appreciate what you had to say. We have time for one more question. If anybody wants one more, last one of the night, you finish up. Here we go. Hello.
Aloha, good morning, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I have a short question.
Go ahead.
I would like to know what is the current status on the new proposed landfill on Wahiawa, and if you are
saved
open,
the last question of the night
I know,
to
it's
be
a
about
big
the
question
landfill.
to ask lastly, but are you open to evaluate the rural landfill alternative solution that could save the city millions of dollars and bring millions
We
of
are
dollars
open.
in
In fact,
revenue
we're working
and
on.
eliminate
Okay.
the need for the new landfill altogether?
All right. So I don't want to talk over you. Landfill is a big issue, and it's something that we walked into that had been deferred for a long time. And I'll just give you the cliff notes on that. It looks like the legislature tomorrow, its last day in conference, is going to pass the law that says we cannot build over an aquifer. Even though I maintain, and this man sitting here is an expert, probably one of the leading experts in the entire country, if not on the planet, on this stuff, that we could build an aquifer in Wahiawa, over 800 feet over it. We could build a landfill, but we're looking at alternatives because that looks like the cards we're going to be dealt with, you know. And so I want to wait, as I said earlier to somebody tonight, to find out what we're really dealing with and see if that actually happens. But we've already shifted gears, knowing that the deck was sort of stacked against us because of everything that happened and the conversation that's evolved about drinking water ever since Red Hill. And at this point right now, I'm not going to talk publicly about it, but I would tell you, since the young man was up here, Raymond, a little while ago, talking about countries and stuff, sometimes people forget the economics of what we're dealing with. We're an island state, number one. We are this island unto itself. We're not a country subsidizing some of these really big ticket items, okay? We just don't have the wherewithal. But we are looking in partnership to do something creative. I want to see what the legislation comes out. We made a strong commitment that we will not maintain a landfill on the west side because of social equity and a whole lot of other reasons, if I can bring that up, Laura. So we're going to see where we're at, okay? But we're open-minded, and if you have a solution, it only costs a few $1 million. Yeah, only a few $1 million? I would love
to meet you.
We'll meet. Right after we finish, I want to talk to you. We're interested in doing that. Look, I said earlier tonight, first of all, here is the dynamic at play. We produce on the island of Oahu, not counting military, not counting Waikiki, our hotel industry, 1 million tons a year of opala. That is, on average, 2,000 pounds per person. That's not easily disposed of. We've been dealing with H-Power, converting it to ash and doing all that other stuff. So the fact that we're going to continue to generate, okay, we got to do something about it. And we're forced into a situation. We want to try to solve that. If we can come up with a solution while we're in office, it'll be a great contribution. We've already tried. We began that. So we'll talk afterwards because we got to sign off. It's 9 o'clock.
I'm interested in talking to you about the solution.
Okay, I look forward to it.
We will not need a landfill on our island.
We may not. You know what? Some of the solutions we're looking at don't require a landfill. They don't require a landfill. They don't. So we're looking at everything to see what's feasible. Can we possibly afford that and do that? Okay? Happy to talk to you. Look, you've been a great crowd tonight.
Mahalo.
All right, you want to recognize your son? Go ahead, one question. Come up and we'll wrap it up. I think we're off the air right now already, but we need to wrap it up. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Are there any...
How old are you? What's your name?
My name is Landon Alice. I'm with Troop 24, and I'm the patrol leader for Phoenix Patrol.
Good for you. I probably should have asked you how old you were, but okay, good, Landon.
There are any service or conservation projects that we could do to help the community for service hours?
Wow, Boy Scouts looking for conservation projects. Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Thank you. Look, I started to say thank you all for being here tonight. We know you love your community, so do we. I'm very proud of these men and women. Thank you for the questions you asked us tonight. We wish everybody the best. God bless.